The Smackdown Hacker. What is the latest with the Smackdown Hacker? Is the gimmick still ongoing? Have WWE dropped it? What is the latest with this popular and mysterious gimmick that we've seen on Friday Night SmackDown, or we had previously seen on Friday Night SmackDown in 2020? Now, it's been about a month now, I believe, since we've heard anything from the SmackDown Hacker on their Twitter account, on WWE television. The last thing we really saw was post WrestleMania once they did the vignettes with the SmackDown Hacker highlighting the SmackDown tag teams and indicating that that was the direction they were going to go in. We saw the likes of the New Day and others in that SmackDown vignette, and we thought, okay, maybe a tag team's going to be splitting up in the future. We saw the likes of Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode and others in there too, but as of yet, we haven't heard anything else since. Now, some people have speculated that the hacking angle has been dropped. Some people say it's just been suspended. What is the latest update? Do we know anything now? Some reports have come out that said that sources inside the WWE environment have said that the storyline has not actually been dropped or died, but merely it's been put aside. As the lots of chaos creatively at the moment with the departure of Paul Heyman and Bruce Pritchard now being in charge of both Raw and SmackDown creative teams and the consolidation of both creative teams into one creative teams. Some people have speculated, including the likes of Dave Meltzer, that a lot of angles have been reshuffled and moved around. Now, according to an internal source in Stamford, those who in the know of the ending of this storyline are very reluctant to talk about it. It's very difficult to get information about this storyline or where they are going to go with it, and there would appear that there are only a very few handful select of people that actually know the direction that this storyline is going to go in. However, the mysterious hacker could return at any moment on WWE television, but we haven't seen anything in the last month or so. The first appearance, of course, that we actually saw of the hacker was when the hacker exposed Dolph Ziggler and Sonya Deville's schemes to keep Otis and Mandy Rose apart, which of course led to the WrestleMania match between Ziggler and Otis. Now, there's been a lot of discussion as to who the hacker is, the identity of the hacker. To be honest, it was a storyline, I think, and it still does have so much potential. And the reason you can say it has so much potential is because the amount that it's got people talking on social media and wherever. It was a storyline that was a classic wrestling whodunit or who is it storyline, which always gets people talking anyway. It was a very slow and subtle build. First of all, we had just the glitches, wasn't it, first on SmackDown during matches or during promos. We'd just see a slight glitch here and there, which got revealed eventually more and more footage in these glitches. And then it was eventually revealed that there was a hacker behind it, and we saw some promos, some vignettes from the hacker, and that sort of thing. And then it was speculated as to the identity of the hacker. That's what everyone wanted to know. Who is the identity of the hacker? Now, a lot of people came to the conclusion, and rightfully so, that the identity of the hacker was indeed Mustafa Ali. We haven't seen Mustafa Ali on WWE television in months at this point. We certainly haven't seen him in 2020 on WWE television. A lot of people thought he fit the gimmick perfectly, considering his law enforcement background, and he would have access to that kind of surveillance footage and have this sort of vigilante style character or gimmick would work perfectly with him. Of course, Mustafa Ali was a Chicago police officer, so he has that background. And I mentioned before on this channel, I think the hacker gimmick of having Mustafa Ali as someone who is looking to right injustice, whether it's for heel or babyfaces. A lot of people have speculated, is the hacker going to be a heel or a babyface? And I've always said, why not both? Injustice is injustice, right? So I think he could do both, and he's kind of teased that, or they've kind of teased that, I must say, when it comes to obviously the babyface reveal of helping Mandy Rose and Otis get together by revealing Dolph Ziggler and Sonya Deville's plan. But also he could have broken up a tag team there, and it could have been the likes of the New Day. And imagine he broke up someone like the New Day. Now, I'm not obviously saying the New Day are ever going to break up, but you understand my point there. I think this character could be both, and it was certainly a character that captured the imagination of professional wrestling fans on social media and on the internet. And it would be such a shame for nothing to happen. It would be such a shame for this to become the 2020 version of GTV. Remember that on Monday Night Raw in the late 90s? We had GTV, which was meant to be the return of Goldust to the WWE, and then we never saw who was behind GTV. We never saw anything. GTV revealed the likes of Eddie Guerrero's infidelities and Mae Young and Mark Henry's infatuation together, and we never saw an outcome of it. And to this day, it's something that people talk about because it was something that got a lot of people talking, and we never saw an outcome. We never saw a finish of it. And regardless of what you may think about storylines, good or bad, they should always have a finish. Whether the finish is good or bad, I think of the Raw Anonymous general manager there. We never got a finish to that, and then when we did, it was revealed that it was Hornswoggle, I think, just to wrap that one up. But whatever. I'm going off on a major tangent here. So the hacker, it's not over as of yet, from what I've heard. It's certainly been postponed and paused. I've heard reports that the reason they've paused it also, not only due to the creative shake-up in the executive positions in WWE, but it was also because the reveal was going to be so big that they actually wanted to save it as to when they had a live audience there, because they think that's when it would get the best reaction. So it certainly could be something that we see at the end of the year, or once WWE decide to start going in front of a live audience in arenas once again. By all accounts, that might not be far off, which is ludicrous, to be honest, considering the situation in the United States at the moment when it comes to the pandemic, when it comes to wearing masks, testing, etc. But WWE is planning for it, so maybe we'll see that sooner rather than later. As I mentioned, a lot of people did speculate that the identity of the hacker would be Mustafa Ali. This was also backed up when the hacker did a couple of vignettes on Friday Night SmackDown and on Twitter. And obviously the voice, when they did these vignettes, was distorted, was lowered. And a lot of people, some very, very, very clever people on the internet and on social media, were able to decipher this voice, normalize the voice levels. And it sounded a lot like the hacker was indeed Mustafa Ali. But also I made a video on this channel previously that it looks like the hacker wasn't just Mustafa Ali, because when they normalized those voice levels, one promo had the voice of Mustafa Ali, but another voice that came across in those promos was indeed Chad Gable, Shorty G. So a lot of people were speculating at the time, okay, could the hacker not only be one person, could it be a series of many people? We've seen the likes of hacking groups in real life, the likes of Anonymous, etc. The hackers aren't just one hacker. Sometimes it's a group of hackers. Sometimes it's a faction of hackers, if you will. So some people were speculating on that at the time. Now, I don't think that is the case now. We've seen Chad Gable return to WWE television recently on SmackDown. He's back doing his Shorty G gimmick. People are calling him small. Apparently he's small, by the way. You'd never know with all the jokes that they do on SmackDown, the terrible jokes. That Shorty G is a small guy. A small guy. He's like, was he like 5'10" or something like that? He's not exactly even that short, but whatever. And another factor into this is that, and the reason I'm doing this video today, is because we actually had a hacking mention on Monday Night Raw last night. Now, it was a very, very, very brief mention. I don't think it's anything to say that the storyline is returning anytime soon, but Bayley mentioned it when in a backstage segment with Sasha Banks and Dolph Ziggler last night on Monday Night Raw, as they were preparing for the main event, which had Dolph Ziggler and Sasha Banks going up against Drew McIntyre and Asuka. Bayley made reference to, you were on SmackDown with us not that long ago, and you weren't doing that much. The most relevant thing you've done is when some hacker revealed that you were scheming with Sonya Deville to keep Otis away from Mandy Rose, or something to that effect. So we did actually have a hacking reference on Raw, which of course the internet popped for. I did, because, a lot of the time in WWE, these things aren't said for no reason, hopefully. So at least the storyline isn't completely dead. But a really important thing to consider when it comes to the hacker, I mentioned previously that it's been widely speculated, and probably rightfully so, it is the outcome, I think, that Mustafa Ali was going to be revealed as the hacker on Friday Night SmackDown. Well, Mustafa Ali has actually been moved quietly to Monday Night Raw. Now, his profile does list under the Raw page on WWE.com right now. There hasn't been any real announcement about it on social media or on WWE.com. It's been a very, very quiet move to Monday Night Raw. But Mustafa Ali is a superstar on Monday nights. Now, that's important for several reasons. Obviously, the reason being that a lot of people speculated he was going to be the SmackDown hacker. So maybe they're moving that gimmick, they're moving that angle, that storyline over to Monday Night Raw. That could certainly be a possibility, and it certainly could be something that we see in the future. So if they do decide to continue with this hacking gimmick, it could be on Monday Night Raw as opposed to Friday Night SmackDown. Now, I mentioned previously that there had been a massive creative shuffle and angles and storylines had been shuffled and moved. This might be a case of just that. The storyline might have been moved from SmackDown to Raw, and it might be a case of we have to wait a little bit of time for it to bed in on Monday Night Raw. I could obviously be speculating here. It might have been completely dropped. I hope not. Because I think it was a gimmick that definitely had some legs. I think maybe with the current climate that we're in at the moment, with obviously the Black Lives Matter movement and the defund the police movement, etc., maybe it's not the best time to have a former police officer become a hacker on a TV and talk about justice and injustice. That possibly could be a reason as to why WWE have halted it also. But we'll have to wait and see on this one. But I don't think the storyline is completely dead. So that would be the update on the moment. Obviously, we had the reference last night on Monday Night Raw. The storyline isn't completely dead. From what I've heard, it's on hold. As to how long it'll be on hold, we don't know. And sometimes with these things, we've seen the short attention span that WWE, Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard tend to have when it comes to these sort of things. So it's concerning that it's on hold right now because they can just lose interest very, very quickly. But the storyline isn't dead as of yet. Once we get confirmation as to the future of the storyline, of course, we'll make a video about it and we'll post it on social media and at WrestleNews365.com. But that's the very latest when it comes to the SmackDown hacker, or now could it be the WWE or Raw hacker in general? We'll have to wait and see. But of course, this is just one man's opinion on the hacking storyline. What is your opinion on the hacking storyline? Is it over? Is it finished? Who is the SmackDown or Raw hacker now? Is it Mustafa Ali? Is it Chad Gable? Or is it something else? Will we see this gimmick return eventually? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to WrestleNews365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right-hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms on the screen right now. That's at 365Wrestle on Twitter and at WrestleNews365 on Facebook and Instagram. And be sure to go to WrestleNews365.com for all the very latest news, updates, articles, opinions, all that fun stuff over there at WrestleNews365.com. So be sure to give us a visit. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak for you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.